Hi folks, this is Vicki at patternprincess.com. Today I want to show you how to do the simple stitches for this gorgeous, soft, bulky blanket. It's just very simple stitches, consists of a single crochet and a double crochet in the back loop. And it's an alternating in the pattern. But it seems like for this bulky yarn, the simpler you make the stitches, the prettier it shines. So let's get started. I'll have the free pattern up on the website by the time that I post this. I got to set that aside. Today I'm using a 4 big, huge skeins of Bernat blanket yarn. The color is, I think it's called Vintage White. And I'm using a size N as a Nancy hook. It's a size N hook. And you can start your beginning chain in any number that you want. I'm getting the yarn end out here. Any number that you want. It doesn't matter, you know, you can increase or decrease by 1. There's no special stitch multiple. And that makes it even more simple. It just works up really fast. It takes me about 2 nights to go through a ball of yarn. Each one is 220 yards. And so this whole blanket's going to take me 8 evenings of watching television with my family. And I'm going to have a blanket done. And it's a really nice, soft, squishy blanket. And it's a good size blanket. I don't have it done yet, so I can't tell you the exact measurements because I think I know what they're pretty close, but I'll make sure that I get it finished and I have all the information on the website. Okay, so anyway. First thing we're going to do is I don't know, how about a chain of 10? How about we do that? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I should tell you, I'm holding my yarn differently than I normally do. I found with the first couple of blanket yarn patterns that the yarn, when I normally bring my loop around my pinky and then around my index finger, and if I do that, it's too tight. It pulls way too tight. So when I work this yarn now, I just hold it around my index finger and I just kind of hold it in my fingers here as I'm holding my crochet. That's my semantics of how I'm holding this now. So it makes it flow through pretty nice. Okay. So the very first row that we're going to do is we're going to do a row of double crochet. So we're going to skip 1, 2, 3, and in the 4th chain, we're going to double crochet. That stitches that we're skipping, those are going to count. Those first 3 are going to be counting as double crochet. And then we just do a double crochet in every single stitch across. You could, if you had planned on putting a border on this, you could crochet in the back loop. Instead of just the top loop like I'm doing, you could turn it and do the back loop, which would be right here. But I'm just doing just right in the top here. It turns out very nice. I'm not going to put a border on this blanket. So we're just going to do a double crochet in each one across. And you don't want real tight stitches. You don't want super loose stitches either. I always do when I'm doing the double crochet row especially. When I'm done with the row, I just kind of take a look to make sure that there aren't any, stitches that really look super loose that are poking out. And I got to look here. Yes, I do have one more stitch. I was talking and not paying attention to what I'm doing. Okay. There. We have row 1 done. And this one here is a little bit loose, but not bad. Okay. So we have 8 stitches right here, okay? So now we're going to turn it. And these are the 2 rows that I'm going to repeat the whole way through. So I'm going to snug up my loop again. We're going to do a chain 1, and then in that same first stitch, that chain 1 does not count as anything. We're going to work in the back loop only. There's 2 loops on here. I'm going to break that apart. There's 2 loops on the top of your stitch. Normally you would go through these underneath here and go through the 2 loops, but we're not gonna. This is the front loop. We're gonna work in the back loop. So we're gonna go into the middle here and catch that back loop. Yarn over, bring our yarn through, and yarn over and go through both loops. That's a single crochet. And we're gonna do a back loop, single crochet all the way across. Here we go. Oop. And you can count your stitches, especially the first couple rows, to make sure that you have the same number of stitches in each row. And once you get used to looking at it, now you can see the definition starting to take shape right here. There's a line of definition, and it looks a little bit different on the back. Okay, we're going to turn it. But anyways, it's good to count the rows. I like to count them on the double. I'm going to get some more yarn. Double crochet row, because it's just easier to count the posts for each stitch. So probably the first 10 rows that I do in this blanket, I'm counting the double crochet row just to make sure I have the stitch count. And then you look at your sides to make sure, are my sides lined up right? Do I got a nice straight edge? So to start off your double crochet row, we're going to do a back loop double crochet. That's the next row. So the repeating row is always going to be single crochet and then next in the back loop, and then the double crochet in the back loop. That's your alternating rows. But we could start this row a couple different ways. You could do a chain 1, 2, 3, which would count as a double crochet, and then go right into your back loop of this. Let me just do a couple stitches to show you how that would look. This is not the way I chose to do this, but you could do it this way. See how there's that bigger loop right here then? It just doesn't match really the rest of the work. I did not like the look of that on this particular pattern. Okay, so we could do that way. You could have also done a chain 2, which would give you less of a gap. You could also go right under, I should say chain 1, go right underneath here in the 2 loops, yarn over, bring your yarn through, do a single crochet, and then put your hook through this second loop of the single crochet right here, yarn over, and do another single crochet, which would give you height. And then your next stitch, you just start working your back loop half double crochet. That first one is called, I think, a standing single crochet. And this is how that looks, but it's kind of bulky and odd. It still pokes out. I did not like that. Okay, I still didn't like that. So rip it out. Okay. So what I chose to do is to do a chain 2. Okay, and then, which I'm not counting as a stitch. I'm not counting that. And then I'm going right into that first stitch and doing a double crochet in the back loop. And then I'm just going to go to the next stitch, and I'm going to show you how this looks. So it sticks out a smidge, right? But you can see how it's starting to look a little bit more symmetrical, straight. And I'm going to do this whole row, and I'm going to do another couple of rows, and just to show you where I place my hook at the end of the rows, to give me a really nice edging. But I think that for this blanket, I had tried a couple different methods first. You know how it is. I do about 4 or 5 rows, and I ripped it out, 4 or 5 rows, ripped it out. It's always a good idea to do a sample. So this is from the row before, I did a chain 1, and then I did a back loop single crochet in the row before. So what I'm doing is in the chain 1 space to the right here is where I stick my hook to make my last stitch. That's always a nice little spot to put your hook, and that gives me a really nice straight edge. You see that? This is still a little bit loose, but that's okay. Nice straight edge. And this is a pretty good straight edge. This bottom one here, it's a little bit curved up more than I'd want, but once you get the whole blanket going, I don't think that anybody's going to focus on that. So let's turn it, and let's do our single crochet row. So we're going to chain 1, and then single crochet in the back loop. There's 1, 2. It doesn't take very long to work the single crochet row. That one's really fast. Okay, now let's look. You can always tell where your stitches are, because most of the time they're going to line up right above the other stitches. See how this one lines above? This one lines above. Okay. It's a little bit harder to see. You have to pull the stitches apart. And this one lines above. And then this one lines above here. See that? If I pulled it apart. So now we have, you got to remember what we did in that other previous row with the back loop double crochet. We did our chain 2, which is here. And then we did our back loop double crochet right here. So what I do to make my edges nice on that side is I'm going to, oops, it's a single crochet, is I'm going to put my hook right in between that back loop double crochet and those first 2 chain stitches right here, right in this space. And then I work my single crochet and it works out really nice. I know for sure that that's my ending stitch, because sometimes when I have an edge where I start it where I don't, do you count the double crochets? Do you not count the chain stitches? I find that if I do that, I'm always on count. I don't have a problem figuring out where to put my hook, and it gives me a nice straight edge. So now we're going to turn it. And now we're going to do our chain 2 and then our back loop double crochet in the same spot. And then I'm going to work this across, and then you're going to see this is starting to look pretty nice, even for just a little sample. But this nice thick yarn works up really fast. It's a very simple stitch pattern to work with this yarn. So I hope that you give this one a try. And if you're looking for a last minute gift, like I said, I can make this in 8 evenings. Your arms don't get too tired. It's a fun thing to make. You don't have to really worry about counting much once you get moving. So you can see how it's starting to look. See how nicely that edge is starting to look here? And then this one looks nice too. So you're saying your crochet work will turn out nice if you use this method, I think. And you can see that this side's a little bit of a different stitch pattern than this for definition. You have some texture. But anyways, as I was saying, I could make this in 8 evenings, and it's a nice, quick, last-minute gift to work up. Whether it's a housewarming, maybe a new mom, she'd want to snuggle in a soft blanket herself, just something to work up for a friend or yourself. Really pretty. And I just love the results of this. So anyway, enough about that. The free pattern will be on the website. I don't have a name for this yet. I haven't figured out what to name it. And again, I'll have all the dimensions and all the information for you. It's on patternprincess.com. And remember to like, share, and subscribe so you can stay up to date with all of the posts that we do and all of the videos. And thanks for watching, and I hope that you try this pattern. Take care.